Welcome to Rhode Island Kids Count's virtual meet and greet with the candidates running for Rhode Island Governor. I am Paige Parks, Executive Director of Rhode Island Kids Count. For those unfamiliar with our work, Rhode Island Kids Count is a statewide children's policy and advocacy organization that works to advance equitable policies that improve children's lives and eliminate disparities by bringing together the power of data, advocacy, and civic action. The meet and greet sessions are designed to be an opportunity for you to hear directly from the gubernatorial candidates about kids' issues. All candidates that met the 1,000 signature threshold to qualify for the ballot were invited to participate in a virtual meet and greet and to also complete a survey about their plans for addressing the most pressing issues for kids and families. We are thrilled that 4 of the candidates have taken us up on that offer. I'm thrilled to welcome you to today's session with Jay Gotra. The format for the next 30 minutes is Mr. Gotra will have up to 5 minutes to introduce himself. Then I have 2 prepared questions that will be asked of every candidate, and then we open the floor to you. At the bottom of your Zoom screen, there should be a Q&A button. If you don't see the Q&A button, it may be hidden in the button that has 3 dots on it that says more. If you click on that, then you should be able to see Q&A. That is where you're going to submit your questions. And please include your name and town if you feel comfortable. So we cannot see your faces because of the webinar format, but we can still see your reaction. So please use the reaction button at the bottom of your screen to give us some real-time feedback on what you are hearing. So I'd like to welcome Jay Gotra. Please, this is your time to introduce yourself to the Zoom room, and you'll have 5 minutes for your introduction.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jay Gotra, or as you will find me in ballot number 4 spot, Jaschit Gotra, my full name, as an independent candidate. My background is I am an immigrant child myself. I came to this country at the age of 14, and I leverage very special social programs just like this for support myself. And I was able to take those support and take that opportunity. And I was able to, not only get citizenship in this country, but also be able to create thousands of jobs and create $1 billion of revenue, leveraging those people in the state of Rhode Island. Not many people know about me, and that is by design. Up till this point in my life, my focus was creating value, not creating fame, because it is not something that's important to me. Everything I do in my life, it starts from the lessons that I've learned from my grandmother and my mother. Okay. One of the deepest, most important lesson that I learned from my grandma while we're running for governor, is because she said that you cannot be a flourishing tree in a burning forest. Okay. And when we are, as a state, spending and losing over $250 million a year, and we package it and we let that be a problem for our people, okay, for our kids for the future, okay, and we diminish our funds from our firefighters, from our teachers, from our social worker, from commitments and promises that we made, okay, and we are taking our businesses and we are shunning them away. People that create 90% of the jobs in the state, make life miserable for them to operate in this state, for them to work in this state. We have to do something differently, okay? And honestly, when I started on this campaign, being very honest, it was out of anger, okay? I was angry. I was mad because I felt like I was seeing something that others in the state wasn't seeing. I felt like I was losing my mind, and I felt like I had to speak out, okay? But this experience, just like anything else in life, has been the most rewarding thing that I've ever been through, because this has connected me back to my community. This has connected me to causes and things that I cared for, that I deeply care for even more. Things like Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence. I was part of the 10 member. We were the one that started that, and we talked about workplace violence. I've been nominated and won 40 under 40, okay, for my business work and the jobs that I've created for the state of Rhode Island. I've won many commendations, and if you go to my website, you will see all the awards I've won without any recognition that I cared for, because it wasn't about those awards that I was working for. I was working for the work that I did because truly, there's a lot of people that chase pleasure. But what I know is you find purpose through serving the community. You find purpose through caring for the community and creating value for the community. So to me, I enjoy the work that I'm doing. I want to do it on a bigger scale. My vision, I know there's vision for kids counts and everything else they do. My vision in life has always been the same: learn, teach, grow together. Okay. And my mission in life has always been to impact 1 million people in a positive way. And this is part of that journey. Everything I am doing is part of my mission and purpose and vision. And I do everything driven by values, and everything I do is by design. What I am doing here is creating awareness for all the things we need as the state of Rhode Island. And honestly, after speaking to over 2,000 people when I had to get these signatures and seeing that everybody's unhappy, whether you are a millionaire in the state or a homeless person or a teacher or a firefighter, we have to do things fundamentally differently. And I feel like everything that's happening in this state is about getting reelected. And at the end of the day, I want to focus on the well-being of the people of Rhode Island and the kids of Rhode Island. And I want to break that barrier of politics over people. I have zero experience in politics, and I have years of experiencing helping, scaling, and growing people. And I want you guys, the smart people of Rhode Island, to be the judge of who's the best governor candidate for you guys.
Great. Thank you so much for that introduction. And I'll take us to the first prepared question we have, which is about poverty. So poverty is connected to every indicator in the Rhode Island Kids Count Fact Book. In 2024, about 1 in 6, or 16.3%, which is about 32,500 or more Rhode Island children living in poverty. In June of this year, the Annie A. Casey Foundation reported that between 2019 and 2025, Rhode Island had the largest decline in children's economic well-being of any state. As governor, what concrete steps will you take to improve the economic well-being of Rhode Island's children and families? And do you believe Rhode Island can end child poverty?
I'm going to answer the last question and then I'm going to go to the other one because that's the more important one. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't believe we can end child poverty. And it's because it's not about that child, it's about their family. And there's so much fear and circumstances that child has to go through in some ways that, quite candidly, even if we could support those children, it's hard for us to be able to end that, right? But what we can do is provide safety for them, okay? Give them safe places for them to show, give them ways to create value for them, give them place to find what I found, right? Quite candidly, when I was growing in my household, okay, there was so much fear that the mindset was so wrong that there was no way for me to see a way out of poverty. But when I was given safety, I was given certainty by the community, and I had this space to grow out of, right? It enabled me and it helped me to be able to climb out of that and create value. To me, this is so personal because children, me being one of those kids, seeing that, I want to impact and help. And what I want to do is create policies that create value for kids and also get the private sector involved. I think we are not doing enough of a good job as governors campaigning for our social services within the state and always relying just on the budget as opposed to our influence to create more value and speak highly about these programs.
Great. Thank you very much. Before moving on to the next question, I just want to remind folks in the audience that there will be an opportunity for Q&A. So please leave your questions under the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. Okay, so the next question is: many budgetary and legislative wins for kids have been the result of strong advocacy from parents, youth, service providers, and advocacy coalitions like the Right from the Start campaign, the Raising Rhode Island Coalition, and many, many more. As governor, you will have many special interests vying for your attention. How will you center the voices, the experiences, and the priorities of kids and families in Rhode Island?
So happy you asked that. I go back to there's this book that I love the most, okay, when it comes to scaling a business, and it's Four Disciplines of Execution, okay? And in that book, there's this concept of lead measures and lag measures, okay? Lag measures is looking at things once it's already dropped. Okay. Lead measures is putting systems in place to create value. When it comes to our children, that is the priority. Those are our lead measures. How we treat our children, how we create value for them, what we give them for safety directly impacts of what type of citizens we would get in this country as we scale and grow, right? There is no interest more important than children, because if children are safe, children are protected, children are given a safe place to grow and create value, our children could be the next generation that solves challenges for us that we haven't even thought of or created value on, right? So we cannot give up on children as a thing we don't focus on because there are bigger, higher, interests that are demanding more attention. And last but not least, it goes back to the same thing. It's bringing light to these causes. There is millions of dollars being donated every day worldwide. Why isn't our organization getting those dollars? Because no governor is focusing on taking these organizations that are putting hard work and advertising about these and campaigning for them and getting you guys funding. Again, I don't think from a lateral way that if government doesn't give me funding, I cannot create value. I come from the private sector. I know how to create value. I have people that can help me create value, and I want to rely on those people to help me with private organizations that need support. And that's how I'm going to fix this problem.
Okay, thank you very much. So if anyone has questions, please put them into the Q&A at the bottom of your screen or underneath the More button there. At the current moment, we do not have any questions posted, but Mr. Gotra, are there any topics that you want to mention that you haven't had a chance to talk about yet?
Um, I want to talk about kids. I really do. It's not something that I take lightly. I mean, quite candidly, the last 10 years of my life, I've been focused on, building kids, creating kids, having a family, and it's like the more I see them grow, it's almost like I'm reliving my life all over again. Okay. As I was a child, I had to go through a lot of adversity myself. I lost my father when I was 8 years old. I had to be displaced to move to a new country, because my mom married somebody, that was in the U.S. And then I had to move here and go through domestic violence issues that, again, I believe we've grown from that, and I'm blessed that one of those people that have actually, still have a good relationship with their parents after that experience as well, right? But when I've gone through all this experiences life, it hasn't bitter me, it hasn't sour me. Like I said, go back to the same thing. It has been my reasoning to become successful, right? But if there is one thing I wish I had was a little bit more safety, in a place to talk to people, right? When I was suffering and I didn't know where to go, I wish there was more places to go talk to, right? So whenever, like, when I came to see, Children's Friend, and then, I got to meet you guys, like, honestly, like I say the same thing, there was a purpose of why I do things and I never look for the outcome. Like, I don't care if I become the governor or not. It's one thing, it's not, the status is not important to me. The serving is, and like I said, God has brought me here because you will see more of me. This is about me being here, supporting y'all and doing whatever's necessary, okay, to do good by you, regardless of what my status looks, and like I said, wherever I go, I promise you, you'll hear more from me. I promise you.
Great. And we have some questions for you in the Q&A. So,
Go for it.
yeah, so you can pick whichever questions you want to start with. There's one question that asks about your involvement in the private sector and what do you envision for that. Another question is about your stance on gun safety. Another question is about after school and out of school time programs. So you can take whichever you want first.
Give me one at a time. Let's answer gun safety. Okay.
Okay.
Education is the best tool. Okay. I believe that, again, learn, teach, grow is my core foundation, core culture, right? And I think if we were to create proper education. I think there's a lot of times we create fear, like, oh my God, we don't know what will happen, so we need to. But I think, again, I have a gun in my home, okay, and my kids know that they're lock safe. They know that it's for a purpose of, for me to keep it in my home, okay? It's to make sure that they're safe and protected, but at the same time, also giving them education and knowledge so you understand, the means and purpose of self-defense and why is it necessary, okay? The other question, what was the other question? I apologize. I don't see all of them
Sure.
here, by
Oh,
the
you
way,
can't
so
see all
maybe
the
I'm looking
questions?
at the
Sure.
wrong.
So there's one question that says, when you say involve the private sector in addressing children poverty, what do you exactly envision? And the second
Right
part
now, I'll
is,
tell you, right? We are
okay,
doing dumb things like charging Taylor Swift a Taylor Swift tax so we can have a few extra dollar coming in while Taylor Swift is already donating $1 million to the food bank. Okay. I'd rather talk to Taylor about all of these services and needs that I have and instead of trying to get $50,000 in tax money, I'd rather she cut me a check for 5 million for Children's First, right? Or Kids First, I'm sorry, and Children's Friends, right? So I'm saying there are many people, Elon Musk, same thing. People that get to their level of success, they get there because money is not important to them. Okay. You can go after Taylor Swift and take a few $1,000s. It isn't going to change who she is. But if we go to Taylor Swift, we go to Elon Musk, we go to these people and share with them that we want their collaboration for them to help Rhode Island be the first place. We're the smallest state, right? We should be advertising. Let us be the first place that does try to solve this poverty problem because we could be the example of what this whole country can be like, right? It's about creating motivation. It's about creating prosperity. It's not about, dividing the rich from the poor. It's uniting them and bringing all of us together around the kids, right? Not politics, but kids. Like, I don't think if I went to any of these rich people to say there are kids in Rhode Island that need your support, that they'd say, screw you, I don't want to help. You understand? But again, we're taking the political approach that get us elected. We are not taking the rational approach that private sector would take to solve real problems. And I want to do that.
okay. And the second part of the question from the same person, they ask, there is an ongoing mental health crisis in children. What are your plans in addressing this issue?
Get them out to play. Okay. Give them a chance to associate, make friends. We are teaching them all the things that they're not going to be important to them in the future. When they have AI, it's like they have a real life calculator. They'll be able to learn in real time. But if they don't know how to communicate, if they don't know how to engage, if they don't know how to negotiate, if they don't know how to create leadership and friendship, and if they don't know how to fight conflict, and if they don't know how to speak up when they're feeling bullied, right? Again, education. We are educating the wrong things. More than them knowing 2 + 2 is 4, it's important for them to know that if they're feeling hurting and suffering, there's groups of people that care about them, love them, and want to be there for them. You know, again, it's not that our education is broken, it's what our education is teaching them is broken. Because again, lead measures and lag measures, right? If our school tests are bad, if everything is bad, it's because our kids are unhappy. But instead of us creating happy ways for them to learn and grow, we are just putting them in the same line and saying, do what we've always done, even though we know at the end the results are not working.
Okay. Okay, thank you. We have another question for you. It says, families across Rhode Island report strong demand for after school and summer learning opportunities. Yet many young people a lot of people cannot access them. What strategies would you pursue as governor to expand access to high quality out of school time programs and ensure their long-term sustainability?
This is a must have. Every child should have free access to pre-K. Okay. Every parent should have a place where they can send their kids where they can engage. I mean, there are clear facts and numbers that kids that go to pre-K create better communication skills. It's those years when they're learning how to engage with people, and that's the benefit, right? I was blessed to be able to send my kids to Montessori, right? See them go through this experience of learning, engaging, and doing these things that, when I see that, I'm like, why is every child not afforded this opportunity? Because I see them, right? Like, again, I also know friends that didn't send their kids to pre-K, and I see what the difference is, right? Like, my kids are more extrovert because when they were young, when they were of that age, they already learned how to communicate, play with different things, do these things that are different than just being in their own home and learning just those same one specific things, right? So I do believe pre-K has to be something that we make it that it's available to all child in the state of Rhode Island. And honestly, that is also one more way of reducing the burden on our parents for all the costs that they have to bear in order for them to make a decision, right? Like that's what sucks, that a woman who's struggling, who's a single mother, who's just trying to make the bills meet, shouldn't have to also be overburdened by taking care of her child. I've been there, right? I grew up to a single mom for a while, right, before she remarried, and it's a big burden for her. That's not fair to her.
Okay, thank you. We have a few moments left. I'm not seeing any questions in the Q&A at this moment. So is there anything that you would like to address or mention before we close?
Um, Stay with this. I mean, all I would say is what you guys are doing is beautiful, it's valuable, it's necessary. Okay. And I know the nonprofit work. It sucks, okay? Because the amount of effort you have to give and what you have to give, right? And what you get in return is not fair. It's not reciprocal, okay? And unfortunately, that's what life is all about. Sometimes when you if you're a person of serving and you want to give, it almost feels like a choice, okay? And what I just want to say is thank you. What you guys do matters. Like I swear to God, as a kid, like I'm literally crying because this matters. Like I swear to God, like what you guys do matter. Like this, like I'm telling you, I swear to God, I'm one of the kids coming back and telling you what you do matters. The most important to me.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that. And also, thank
I
you for joining us for this meet and greet session. And for you, the
appreciate you.
audience, thank you so much for being here. You can learn more about Jay Gotra on his website, which is governorgotra.com. Our next meet and greet will be on Thursday. We have a meet and greet Thursday at 3 p.m. with candidate Aaron Guckian and 4 p.m. with Helena Foulkes. The candidate survey responses that I mentioned earlier will be released on Monday, August 24th. That's where you can see where Mr. Gotra, where he talked about many of additional issues that were not addressed in today's meet and greet. And also, please remember to vote. Early voting begins on August 20th. The primaries are September 29th, and the general election is November 3rd. So we hope to see you on Thursday and stay tuned for those survey results on the 24th. Thanks so much, everyone.